need of soil conservation to prevent soil erosion. When the rainfall is there, it automatically takes all the soil and it goes to the low-lying area. You have to stop that. What you can do, like this, you have to do soil conservation measures. The management of soil to prevent erosion. Can you see that there is small barricades like sacks are there. So these are all nets or sacks is been provided. They plant grass in all the borders of the agricultural field. That is one conservation. This is an artificial way of conserving. So what if any rainfall is there, what will happen? The rainwater will penetrate and only go. It will not take away the soil and it will not leave the fertility. This is one of the technique. So need of preservation of soil erosion is, this is number one. Now I have told you, in the borders they will construct a dense grasses. So you can see here how they make dense grasses. Can you see a footpath here? Every agricultural plot will have a footpath like this. Along the footpath they have grasses. There is a meaning for that. What is the meaning of grass? Nobody is going to sell the grass. Even though it protects the fertility, you will be using fertilizers. In a rain, all the fertilizers will get washed away. It will be stored here. This is the natural form of preservation. So like this you have to preserve. In India, around 8.2 crore of hectares is affected by water. 10 crore hectares are being eroded. Out of 10 crore hectares, 8 crore hectares is only due to water. Only 2 crore hectares are taken away by the air. Air is very much lesser when you compare to water. Who erodes the soil more? Water erodes the soil more. Approximately how much ton of soil is being taken? 2400 crore tons of fertile soil is globally lost. Soil erosion you have to quantify. Every year 2400 crore tons of the soil is being eroded. Next thing, sir, to maintain soil fertility. Sir, how to maintain fertility is, soil requires 3 types of nutrients. Primary nutrients. I have discussed in last class. What are they? Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. These 3 are required. It is a food for the crop. So these 3 things you have to provide. See, continuous cultivation of these 3 primary elements. So this maintains the fertility and helps the growth. You see, a soil is being covered with some plant. Rain or wind, this soil is being covered with plant. If you are not doing in a agricultural land, what will happen? Soil erosion will be very quick. If you are continuously doing any agricultural work, the vast water will not go quickly. So that they will say that you should not leave the land empty. Have you heard this or experienced in farming? They say that you plant anything, do not leave the field, agricultural field empty. At least you should do any crop rotation. Today there is one crop, tomorrow you seed some crop, or you do this. If it is empty land, easily it can wash away. So that is what soil covered with plant is different. Soil is uncovered with plant. It is open to sun, wind and rainfall. Quickly it loses the fertility and you have to maintain. This is one of the conservation measures. Third thing is, this is a population. You can understand that we are in 21st century. From the 0 up to 19th century, we were only 150 crore people. How much centuries? 19 centuries, we were 150 crore people only. You see here, this is in billions. Billions means 100 crore. You see, this is the population up to 19th century. You can see this 150 crore. In India, what is the today's population? 148 crore. Overall in the world, up to this 19th centuries, we were 150 only. Sir, what you can understand with this? If 150 crore people throughout the world only means agricultural demand is very less. Nobody needs higher amount of food. What is happening? In 19th century to 2024, the population, global population is 809 crore. Today, the world population is 809 crore. So how much time it increased? 150 to 800 crore. How much time it increased? This more than 6 times it is increased. So if people are increasing, we need some agricultural food products. But what we are doing, we are extending the urban area. Agricultural land is shrinking. Can you find the conservation issue? The population in 100 years is increased 6 times and the agricultural land is shrinking. This you have to understand. Ensure food security. Today we are 800. Another 50 years, what will happen? It is in exponential growth. What happened? Then agricultural demand will be very huge. Food price will be very huge. Currently you are getting 5G technology in 500 rupees. But in 50 years, food security will be very questionable because you will have technology, you will not have food. Currently, Japan is severely affected due to that. I think I have discussed in last class. Japan is importing food products from other countries. Sir, what we import? We import the technology of Japan. We import the technology of mobile, laptop, etc. But what does Japanese people import? They import only food products because food is the essential thing. Wherever you reach the peak of technology, the another demand will be food. That is the second most consumed importable product in the country. So food security will be a problem. It might reach around 970 crore by 2050. So you have to understand that if there is no good soil, you cannot do a proper agriculture. Next thing is to conserve water resources. Soil requires water in order to give a good food security. Conserve water resources. Soil to reduce the runoff. Sir, how to reduce the runoff? I have discussed in first slide. Next thing is to prevent desertification. Every soil, if you have not preserved, 3 things I have told. That means in desert, what are all the things you will not have? You don't have water. You have less rainfall. You don't have proper agricultural area, or can you do agriculture in desert? No. These things are there in desert. What do you mean by desertification is, if you leave the open land empty for some amount of time, that land will lose its fertility. That land will not have proper rainwater infiltration. So no plants is there. That means water will not hold by the roots. Easily it will evaporate during the sunshine. What will happen? Then groundwater will get reduced. Sir, currently in Bangalore, why we are not getting groundwater? It's one of the issue. Around 40% of world's land is already degraded. Desertification only means soil is not having its fertility. You cannot grow plants. So in globe, 40% of land is there as desertified land, unsuitable for providing a crop. To reduce floods and landslide. Sir, why you need to conserve the soil is floods and landslides will reduce. Have you seen in news today there is a landslide in Kedarnath? Today there is a landslide in Himachal Pradesh. Why land is sliding in hill areas? That means it is not having stability. That means we are cutting trees. The soil will not be holded in the slides. What will happen? If the trees vanishes, the roots will not penetrate and hold. So it will quickly slide. We are having hundreds of landslides yearly. How to reduce that? You have to do terracing and contour farming. Terracing means you have to do agriculture. Sir, how to prevent landslides? Do agriculture in hill slopes. Is anybody going to disturb the slope? Nobody is going to disturb. No traffic will be there. You have to do contour farming or terracing. This I have to explain in last class. What is contour farming? So, if there is a barren land or desertified land, do productive works in that same land. Next thing, to protect biodiversity, 25% of species live in the soil. You have to protect the biodiversity, combat climate change, and to protect quality water. The groundwater has to be protected in trapping the sediments, nutrients and pollutant. By these 3 you have to make the groundwater into a suitable for drinking purpose. SDG. SDG is what? Sustainable Development Goals. How many are related to soil? SDG 2. What is SDG 1? Any idea? Poverty. Second goal, zero hunger. Zero hunger means food products should be there. You have to maintain the soil. SDG 6, clean water. Does soil purifies water? If you take groundwater, is it polluted or it is good to do agriculture? Can you do agriculture with groundwater? Yes, you can do. Soil is purifying, sanitation. SDG 13 is climate action. If you destroy forest, then global warming will be there. SDG 13. SDG 15 is life on land, purely soil. Life on land is, I have discussed around 9 types of land in India. So these 3 are there. The next topic, sustainable land use. Sir, you have told in globe 40% of degraded land. What do you mean by degraded land is that land is not used for agriculture. Sir, also you told population is increasing, where to do the urban infrastructure. That means where to construct the house. You have to catch the degraded land. Wherever there is no agriculture, the dry land is there, either you have to remake it as a forest area. That is called reforestation. Already there was forest, you have cut down trees, you again reforest. This is the topic of sustainable land use. Sir, where you can do development is wherever you have barren land not used for anything. In that land, what you can do is you can start doing the agriculture, promote the agriculture, preserve the soil. Sustainable land use planning, you are using systematic way. In further slides I will explain, sir, how to use the land and develop this kind of a structure. If you are going into Apple industry, which headquarters is there in USA, if you visit there, their company will be like this. In whole preserved or conserved area, a small part of construction will be there. Have you visited IITs? IITs, you will not have a crowded constructions. If one building is there, for first building and second building, you have some space. You have some soil conservation, preservation, etc. Like this, you have some land space. Only in private colleges, every part of single square feet will be constructed with something. But in IITs, you have lots and lots of open space. This will be like this. Sir, how to plan the infrastructure along with this? Principle of sustainable land use. Sir, first thing, what you have to do is, you have to first do the land capability assessment. Sir, I have one land. Can I do agriculture or can I construct the house and give it for resale, or can I start any industries in that? You have some questions. For that, first you have to do this test. Sir, what test is this? Land capability assessment. After this assessment, what you can do is, if you have fertile land, sir, I have 1 acre of land, what to do? If I do agriculture, will I be profitable? If you have a fertile soil, do agriculture. Sir, if I have hills, I have bought one land in hill. Best thing is to do forestry because that resources is highly in demand. So you have walnuts. Walnuts are harvested where? In Kashmir. Do you have high demand in the south? Apples are being harvested in the Himachal Pradesh. Do you have high demand here? In fruits, which is highest demand? Apple. If you have hills, do forestry. If you have land in rocky areas, sir, I don't have any fertile soil, I only have rocky place. What you can do? Do mining. Start mining, use that rock resources and get license, only you can do mining. First take license, do mining work for recreations. Sir, I have wetland. Wetland means what? Always there is water in my land. The water is not moving here and there is no proper drainage. You do conservation measures. Wetland conservation, this is called sustainable planning. Sir, what resource I have, what I can plan. These things are example for sustainable. You have to do agriculture in a terrace form. Level by level you can do it in the plains. Yes. Next thing is water conservation, biodiversity conservation. Now, How to protect biodiversity? Every district or every capital, you should start conservation or protected area. In Bangalore, you should have a protected area. What are the species available in Bangalore? You have to protect in a forest, conserved area. Why? In order to protect the biodiversity species in that area. Every state should have one center. So they should do the biodiversity plant, domestic animals or wild animals, birds, etc. It has to be preserved in a particular place called wildlife protection, wetland protection, forest, grassland and mangroves, etc. How to protect agriculture? You can do organic farming, integration of the technology. Drones are used in agriculture, latest technology is there. This is called precise agriculture. It is being controlled by some gadgets. No manpower is required. If you know precise agriculture, no humans are required. You can implement only drones for sowing, for sprinkling the water, for fertilizers, pesticides, to do the security work. Agroforestry. What do you mean by agroforestry? Along with agricultural land, you should have forest. You should have trees. That is called agroforestry. This is called sustainable agricultural technique. Climate smart land management. Sir, who is bringing down the carbon? Plants. It's been stored in the soil. That is called carbon sequestration. Afforestation and reforestation. These two. Sir, what is the difference? The cut and down trees is being reforested here. Afforestation is new plants are being laid is afforestation. For sequestration, you can understand by this. If one trees are being laid in a soil, this absorbs the CO2 and it stores in the soil. Every tree or every plant does this. This is called carbon sequestration. Then climate resilient crop. Sir, if I am doing ragi, sir, where I can plant ragi? Two plants are there, imagine. One is sugarcane, one is ragi. You can plant ragi in desert. It requires very less amount of water. But for sugarcane, sir, where you have to sow the plants? According to water availability, you have to plant. If less water is there, plant the ragi, maize, etc. If you have more water, plant accordingly. Rice, wheat, sugarcane, cashews, these are all should be only laid in West Bengal area. West Bengal, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, where you have high amount of natural rainfall. There you have to plant. Sir, where there is no rainfall at all, there you have to do the plantation of ragi, maize, etc. So these things are called climate resilient crops. Sir, some crops are there. It doesn't need water for 6 months. Cactus, I have told. A cactus plant doesn't even need single drop of water for 6 months. You plant accordingly to the respective water availability and the climate. Community participation, that means all should participate. Farmer can do. If he is having a land, he can do this conservation work. Local communities can work. Where schools are there, sir, I don't have any land. What you can do? Can you plant tree in barren land? Yes. These are all called community participation. Anyone can do. Government agencies, NGO. What do you mean by NGO? Non-government organization. Have you seen the Rotary Club, Rotaract Club, NCC, NSS? These people will do this work, planting trees, removing plastics, conservation of soil, water. Why you are doing this in the sense? This is called community participation. Then scientists, participatory planning issues, etc. Sir, how to conserve the degraded land? One by one, let me explain. This is an example of degraded land suitable for not use. No agriculture is there. What you have to do is, sir, you cannot do agriculture also. Instead of that, you can use for pasture, useful landforms. There is growing some grass. The shrubs and grass are useful for this domestic animals. You should not leave the land empty. If empty land is there, erosion will be very quick. Even 1 or 2 rainfalls, the whole soil will wash away. If there is grass, trees, not trees, some small plants, that is called pasture, which will not allow the soil to move. That is the solution. Overgrazed land can be used by controlled grazing or pasture. You can do like this, and this land can be reclaimed. Next thing, river degraded areas. Nearby river, what will happen? Imagine this is a river. Nearby this river, this portion is called riparian area. This is a technical name. What will happen? During any rainfall, the river will get widened. During any flood, what will happen? The river will get widened because of overflow of water. So, have you seen during any flood, both the sides, if any houses are built, it will collapse. During a heavy flood, the nearby houses will get collapsed. How to stop? What you have to do is you have to do riparian area. What do you mean by riparian areas? Nearby the river, you should have shrubs and plant trees. Sir, how much land means 25 feet? Left side of river 25 feet, right side of river 25 feet, you should have this kind of shrubs and the trees. This will hold the river area, which will give stable land form. This is an example. It's called buffer zone. Riparian area is nothing but a buffer zone for this vegetation. This will reclaim degraded river areas. Next thing, urban vacant land. Urban vacant land means what? Urban is, imagine Bangalore is a urban area, completely covered with all the buildings. What you can do? Soil remediation and landscaping. Sir, why they do landscaping in 5-star hotels? Do they leave any land for free? If any free land is there, they will do some landscaping work. They will do some greenery. Why we have provided in our college? The center portion is free, no? This side you have classes, the opposite side you have classes. The center part is free. Why they have done landscaping? Landscaping means what? Some useful trees, plants, something. For architectural purpose, but the main purpose is to reduce land degradation. That soil will get degraded. The same way, if you find any hotels, they will be doing landscapes. They will protect the farms. So that is the reason urban areas should be landscaped into urban green space. Next thing, contaminated industrial land. Sir, I have one industry. Do industries let the contaminated water and contaminated solid waste? Yes. What you have to do is, you have to do phytoremediation. Have you heard this name, phytoremediation? Planting some kind of plants. What they do is, sir, nearby my industry, I am growing the certain kind of plants. What they do is, they intake the chemicals. They intake the zinc, boron and sodium, and they degrade the land. You can plant the trees. That plants will degrade that, and either there are 3 or more techniques is being done by plant. What the plant do is, they intake this zinc, they intake the sodium as the mineral and they grow. That technique is called what? Phytoremediation. You are doing the plantation. You see any contaminations from the industry, this plant will intake this and it stabilizes the soil. Sir, what is the disadvantage? The phytoremediation is a long process. Sir, if you let any chemical from the industry, will the chemical immediately get cleared? No. Phytoremediation takes 3 months, 6 months, etc. in order to intake and grow. So, phytoremediation is not a quick process, but it is a long-term process. What you can do? Sir, some industries are too much affecting the land. There you can plant trees. Some species of trees observe the chemicals. Sir, what are the chemicals they observe? These are the following. Heavy metals, lead, cadmium, zinc, nickel, copper, mercury, chromium, etc. These are all called heavy metals. If you find something from soil, what you can do? Immediately you do phytoremediation. You plant trees. Naturally they absorb. Then the industry's pollution will not affect the soil. Next thing, metallic and non-metallic. Uranium is also observable by phytoremediation. So what is uranium? Atomic power plant. Atomic power plant uses what component? Uranium. They dump the waste. Nearby they should do phytoremediation in order to reclaim the soil. Nearby atomic place, can you buy lands? You cannot buy land. Why? Because there will be heavy pollution. Nearby you can do this kind of reclamation for long term. Cesium, 137, uranium, etc. So these things can be remediated by the phytoremediation. Sir, severely eroded slopes. There is a hill and completely the hill is not been planted with trees or forest. What is the remedy? You have to do this kind of afforestation. If you are keeping like this, in a heavy rain or flood, further this will wash away. Can you see the houses here? This will also collapse in a landslide. What you have to do? Afforestation and contour measures. You have to do the terrace forming or contour layer by layer. This will hold all the soil. This will not leave the soil. The roots will hold with the plants and the forest woods. Either you can do agriculture or plant the forest. Now, next thing is ravines and gullies. When there is a two hill or two heaps are there, during a rainfall, the water will naturally come to the lowest part is called ravine. So, can you see, this is not a large valley, it's a small valley is called ravines and gullies. This kind of ravines will be there. So, how to reclaim this? You can provide check dam. Nearby agricultural land like this, it might have. Sir, how to stop this? You cannot do contour. Contour can be done for a large area where you have a hill. But small places, what you can do? Small places, it might be for a height of 2 meter, 1 meter. If like this you have this kind of ravines and gullies, you can provide check dams. Sir, what is check dam? Can you provide an embankment here? Yes, if you provide an embankment here, what will happen? The water will get stopped here. All the water will not get washed away, it will get stopped. Then the overflow water will have less velocity. It will not be so quick. It will get stopped and it will move slowly. This is one of the reasons called, sir, how to reclaim this or how to conserve this watershed. Watershed is nothing but providing small kind of check dams, collecting all the water. Next thing, saline land. What is saline land? Sir, I have seen white color patches in the soil. If you set, then it is a degraded sand, degraded soil. Sir, how to make it ready? Drainage and salt tolerant crops. Sir, does certain crops grow in salt tolerant? Yes. Sir, where you can see salt tolerant crops? Nearby seashore. Nearby sea, what kind of soil you have? Generally, you will be having salty soils. What you can do? You can do agriculture. Sir, what are the crops are salt tolerant? Can you see? Barley. It's a salt tolerant crop. Nearby this you can do agriculture. Don't leave the soil like this, or if it is completely covered with salt, do barley, cotton, sugar, wheat, sorghum and date palms. These crops are having high demand in food. Instead of this, you do the cropping. You cannot do all crops. This is an alternative or conservation measures for this kind of soil, saline lands. Next thing, waterlogged land. You can do wetland. This is artificial wetlands. There are two types of wetlands. One is natural wetland and artificial wetland. This is an artificial wetland. Water for the trees and shrubs where it will intake. Yes, last two. Next thing is abandoned and mine land. Sir, there was a mine. Nearby that they have a cement industry. They have a sand industry. Ramavali. You go to Ramavali road, there is a degraded land. Sir, who is degrading? Have you seen quarries there? You go to Ramavali road, you have quarries. What they do is, they take all the rocks. What they should do? They should backfill the topsoil after they are quarrying. And deforested land should be forested. The heaps, what they have taken, that has to be filled with topsoil, and some plantations they can do. And last one is barren and wasteland. Sir, in 2019, this is the image. This land is not used for anything, and you can use that wasteland into agroforestry, where agriculture and forest both are done in same land. Forest should not be separately done, agriculture should not be separately done. Both should be combined. That is called what? Agroforestry. That barren land has to be done with agroforestry measures in order to take care.